The problem with lab-grown meat. The numbers could not be ignored. After adding vitamins and bioactive compounds, lab-grown meat would be 70% healthier than meat harvested from livestock. It would cut greenhouse gas emissions by over 90%, prevent rainforest depletion, and even reduce shipping costs and subsequent pollution. It was by far the most humane option as well, ending the suffering of billions of animals each year. Quickly approved by the USDA and FDA, the meat made itself home in grocery stores and butcher shops across the globe. Jim Dugan, a resident of Harrison, Michigan, ignored his stomach ache for the first few weeks. He attributed the stomach pain to his decades-long battle with acid reflux. It always went away on its own, but after a 6th day of stabbing stomach pain and crimson stools, he decided to make an appointment with his physician. Though only a week away, the appointment was never met. His screaming and writhing in pain on the cement floor of a Home Depot called for an ambulance ride to the ER instead. An X-ray was performed after painkillers were administered to Mr. Dugan. The illuminated film showed what appeared to be a large number of calcium deposits in the swollen stomach of the unconscious man. Before the anomaly was even identified, hospitals across the globe had become flooded with an influx of suffering masses. Excruciating abdominal pain was followed by the expectoration of blood and multiple hematomas. It was clear an epidemic was unfolding. Emergency surgeries revealed strange tissue growth throughout the digestive tracts of the ill. By the time the link was made, thousands had already died from organ failure, suffocation, and internal bleeding. Those unlucky enough to survive soon lay immobile with massively swollen stomachs and engorged purple limbs as they wheezed their numbered breaths. Fleshy pink filaments grew like ground meat through stretched skin pores and other orifices when real estate within the epidermis quickly ran out. The problem with lab-grown meat became apparent far too late to address. It simply would not stop growing. I found a mailbox in the woods. I don't know what is following me. At this point, I hope it's supernatural, because if a human is stalking or hunting me right now, that's even more terrifying. I am in the middle of absolute nowhere. My name is Zed. Nothing about me is important, but I'm going to write it down here just in case anyone finds this journal. The same journal I found. The same one I have been invested in lately. The same one that may lead to my premature death. I don't know how much time I have, so I will only jot down the facts. When I am done, I will leave it right here in this abandoned shed. I found it, so I am sure some other unfortunate dummy will also. Something is moving outside. I knew I didn't have much time, but apparently I have less than that. 1 month earlier. Hey guys, Woodman Zed here. Today is day 30 of my trek across these fine United States of America. I found myself at nearly my halfway point. I'm in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, a place so close to nature and beautiful, God himself would be jealous. There's more deer than people, and white pines are more common than paved roads. It's pretty wild how untamed some of these woods are. Thank you, all, for following me on my journey. I'll be uploading this once I get back to some semblance of society, at least with some Wi-Fi. That'll work for a little update. I can put a 9 to 10 minute video out tonight with some random footage I've gotten. Hopefully this motel's Wi-Fi can help me out. Tomorrow I'll do my signature camping in the woods bit and move on to the next. Hey everyone, Woodsman Zed here. I'm going deep into the Porcupine Mountains. Let's see what the harsh, deep woods of upper Michigan have in store. I've got all my regular gear, packing light as always, sleeping pad, camo tent, and a bottle of Traverse City cherry vodka. Gotta have a drink from the region. Tonight's meal will be a simple sausage and potato meal, cooked up on the mini butane-heated cooker. All right, food is ready, vodka's poured, and crack. What the? Hello? Silence. Must have just been an animal. No shortage of them around here. Just continue the video. So, I was saying, it's time to sit back and relax. Read some comments that I picked from my last video. First one reads, Zed, what the fuck? Something just growled. My heart is pumping. Stop the recording. Something doesn't feel right. Just then a pair of yellow eyes glint in the distance. The ground tremors. There's only one word that appears in my mind, between my eyes. Run. I picked up my backpack, completely abandoned my tent and food. I left the still-burning sausages, not a considerate camper, but I'd rather not be someone else's dinner. A low growling rumbled to the left and right. This omnipresent auditory distress made me feel dread like never before. I ran. I used every ounce of my outdoors experience, dodging stumps, jumping over down trees. When I thought I was clear, I finally stopped to take a breath. The sound was gone. I slowly turned around. I feared the worst, and I found it. Several sets of eyes greeted me from throughout the woods. I decided to be brave. "Who's there?" I yelled. The echo painfully filled the deep woods air. I watched in panic as the eyes slowly disappeared from left to right. Is this a prank? I can't imagine anyone would be this coordinated, this deep in the woods. The sun had just fallen below the horizon. The radiant light just barely illuminated the forest floor. Shit, I have to go. In my confusion and panic, I was not aware of where I was. My compass would be no help. I don't know what direction I came from or where I should go. Thankfully, I could not hear anything tracking me. I didn't see any glowing eyes either. Small win. Hey guys, Zed here. I'm being very quiet because something is wrong. I'm not even trying to be funny or make this sound scarier than it is. Something is out here with me. I don't know how long I've been out here, but the sun is rising. How the hell? Hold on. Shut the stupid recording off. The sun just set. Am I losing it? Being out in the woods for so long on this dumb 30 Days Across America video? Because I cannot see what I think I am seeing. A mailbox in the middle of the woods. Cautiously, I approach it. I can see now that there's a somewhat worn trail leading to the mailbox. It's a footpath, barely a foot in width. I ignore what I think is tiny footprints leading up to the wooden post with a white mailbox anchored in the center. The older style mailbox has a similarly old red flag on the side of it. U.S. Mail is stamped on the face. The metal tab on the front of the box is begging me, pleading for me to open it. What? Am I not going to? Slowly, I open the box. Without knowing at the time, I grab my knife off my hip. The rising sun lit up the inside just enough to see a symbol, an arrow pointing behind me. A rustling sound just as I did. I didn't look in the direction of the arrow. A certain trap, a certain death. Not this time, universe. I booked it in the opposite direction, and rustling sounds increasing, sounding like whatever was coming for me was very happy to meet me. Good thing I decided not to turn around and trust my instinct to run. This time I dropped my pack to move as fast as possible. I must have ran for miles. At some point, I felt hot breath on my neck. The smell I can't place. I don't want to. I don't know how I escaped it. Like a snake with its head cut off. I didn't know I was dead. I mean alive, until I stopped. But I was still very much alive, and looking at another mailbox. This one was painted black. The same U.S. mail marking was stamped on the front. The red flag was up. A message. A national symbol for please open. Again, I did as I was directed to. I slowly opened the mailbox. Rust fell from the door. Creaky noises filled the now quiet air. The sun was setting. How was it already setting? But there was again just enough light to fill the interior of the mailbox. I wish there was no light to show me what was inside. A note. A small white piece of paper folded in half. With trembling, fatigued hands, I opened the note. You should have listened. My heart dropped. Should have listened to what? The last damn mailbox? The arrow that pointed to my certain doom? Wait. I see a light. Maybe 100 yards away, coming from what looks like a shed. A shed in the middle of the woods? I'm drawn to the structure. Who would put such a structure here in the middle of nothing? There's a fire inside. I am tired. I'm hungry. I'm weak. The shed is bare. Just 4 walls made out of rough aluminum. The floor is earth. The fire is not here. The only light was in my mind. There's a book here. Current day. To all that finds this, my name is Billy Bother. I've escaped from the basement after 30 days. I can't find my way out of this shed. The sounds, the banging noises, the growling. I don't know what it all is. This shed appeared to me while hiking. I was lost. I don't even know why I started trekking through the woods. The masked are out there. Please, if you find this, please try to find me. I hope you don't find this at all, to be honest. If you do, I don't think you're ever going to leave. Dog-like creatures. True story. This was a while ago, maybe like 4 years ago. I live in Michigan, and we have this infamous urban legend called the Dog Man, and it's pretty similar to a werewolf. Anyways, I was on the school bus going to school, and it took us on this way next to a graveyard and a railroad with like a big-ass forest there. As we crossed the railroad tracks, I looked to my right, and what I saw was confusing as hell. There was maybe 2 to 3 wolf creatures walking on the tracks, but you could see their rib cage bones and shit. They were a good ways away from the bus, but you could clearly make out what they were. Of course, I was weirded out, and I looked to my friend, and they were confused as me, and so were the other kids on the bus, as they started talking about it too. Now I know that these things weren't dogs or wolves, because they were bigger than dogs, and I live in a place where there aren't any wolves. I guess they could be coyotes, but the thing that gets me is that you could literally see their bones. Like there was just some skin, and then boom, some skin missing, and their ribs. It's not that creepy, just one of the things that just get to me. The reason I mention the Dog Man is because a lot of people brought that up. But I say otherwise. The Last Confession. I was a pastor for many years at a local church in Michigan. My job was to listen to confessions and help people atone for their sins. I have heard many confessions during my day, but one confession changed my take on reality and make me question what is possible. The day was like any ordinary day. I was doing my usual job when a man came in, asking for atonement. From the looks of it, the man's face looked pale, but not to the point of raising suspicion. Anyway, his confession came through, and this is what he confessed to me. This is by far the most blood-chilling confession I have ever heard from anyone. "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I didn't kill my wife and daughter. I was helpless. The devil wouldn't let go. The devil made me do it. Please, Father, forgive me." I was shocked, but I had a job to do. When I came out from the booth to further inquire, he wasn't there. But this confession wasn't normal. Deep down I knew something was off. I asked around local people and started digging around this mysterious man, and if anybody knew him and his story. After some months of research, I understood the whole ordeal, but I was beyond shocked. The man's name was Jeremy Rice, and he had a wife named Tiffany and a 4-year-old daughter named Lily. The man had murdered his wife and daughter in cold blood and had taken his own life afterwards. But the strange part was, this was 3 years ago, at least 4 years, before the confession. It didn't make any sense. How was this possible? I kept asking myself every day from that day on, even to this day when I'm not a pastor anymore. So you might be asking, did I take a confession from a troubled spirit? Now that I think of it, I must say, I think I did. Reality is much more complex, and people's deeds can come to trouble them. In this world and in the afterlife, I'm living witness of this. I resigned from the church a month after this confession, but after this confession and knowing the background of this ordeal, I never took another confession ever again. So in a way, you can say that this was my and late Jeremy's last confession. I pray that his soul rests in peace and God forgive him for all his sins. Friendly Burger. Being alone is something you get used to if it's something that happens long enough. It's different from being lonely because it just becomes a fact, a simple part of life, like the sun rising in the day and setting at night. If you're always on the road like me, I guarantee that you would concur. I'm having these thoughts one night while I'm driving. It's a quiet night. I'm just taking a highway through a forest in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. The area is snowy and secluded, and the only sounds I can hear are the heat blasting, the music on the radio humming, and my stomach rumbling. God damn it, I'm hungry. But judging by where I am, there wouldn't be any place to stop within miles. I figure I could keep chugging along, suppressing my stomach pains until the music comes to a stop, as it's slowly taken over by static, followed by a man's voice. "Hey there, folks. Sorry to interrupt the tunes, but I gotta tell you, the winter weather is only gonna get worse. So, I recommend finding a hotel for the night real soon, or take some shelter wherever you can." Shit, I think. I'm in the middle of nowhere. How am I gonna find anywhere to stay? And I know what you're thinking. I'm in the middle of nowhere. How am I gonna find a place to stay? Well, don't you worry. You can find a motel and bar about 25 miles north, or take a right at the next exit for a delicious meal, and maybe some company. The voice savors those final words, making an awkward pause. But anyway, enjoy your music, and we'll talk real soon. The voice transfers back into static, and finally to the classic rock that was playing minutes before. Hell yeah, a restaurant. A place where I can stretch my legs and get some grub. My mouth begins to water at just the thought of the chunks of a juicy cheeseburger dancing on my taste buds, inviting me for more. Despite my desperate need for a meal, that thought is still trying hard to overpower one other in the back of my head. It was like the radio host was giving me directions, like he knew where I was. He knew what I thought. How in the hell could he possibly? The exit sign comes into view in my headlights. An excited grin forms on my face. What was I just thinking about? I merge onto the exit ramp, and my grin becomes wider when the lights on a sign in a small building are revealed over the hill just down the road. The sign is a red and yellow circle that reads Friendly Burger with the bottom text, a place where you can never be alone. The mascot in the center is a cute cheeseburger with big eyes and a smile, rubbing his belly, satisfied from his meal. Good enough for me. I turn right towards the building and pull into the parking lot, my mouth watering more after every yard. I smell the delicious seasoned patties as soon as I leave my car. My stomach notices the smell too, because it's rumbling louder, begging me to go inside. Once the door is open and the bell on top has sounded, I see the many people sitting inside, but I only take one glance. Nothing can distract me from the greasy, outstanding fast food that I'm about to consume. The cashier is already at the register, turning to me to say, "Hi, welcome to Friendly Burger, where you can never be alone. What can I get you?" I'm ecstatic to hear those words, knowing that the meal would only be in my mouth sooner and sooner at this point. I look at the menu briefly. The biggest combo on the menu would suffice. Let me get a large double buttery Friendly Burger meal with a vanilla milkshake to go with it, please. She rings up the order into the computer in front of her. She looks up at me with that same smile and says simply, "Okie dokie. That'll be out in just an eensy minute." I stop in my tracks just after taking my wallet from my pocket. "Don't I have to pay?" She laughs heartily. "Oh, of course not. Here at Friendly Burger, we're just happy to help your hunger and have you as our guest." "Well, thanks." I put my wallet back in my pocket. She leans forward on the table, still smiling wide, but now almost dreamlike. "So, what brings you around here?" "Well, I'm a traveling salesman. I had a meeting in northern Wisconsin, so I'm taking the UP as a shortcut back home." "Traveling salesman? You must be on the road quite a bit." "Yeah, that's part of the job. It's not bad, though." "Don't you get lonely?" Her smile grows more like a concerned smirk than a dreamy twinkle. I stammer, "Well, not really. I enjoy being by myself. It's peaceful." "Are you sure? It must be sad being on your own all the time." I wonder at her statement for a moment. Was it sad? Was I tired of being alone? Of course not. It's what I've gotten used to, right? "I don't think so." She leans back. "You don't think so, huh? Are you sure about that?" I begin to feel uneasy, cringing slightly at her repetitive questions. I mean, I guess I feel down sometimes, but that's what I signed up for. I'm okay with it. Suddenly the cashier's eyes transfer from full of life to dull. She stands up straight, adjusting her shoulders and neck, and says ominously, "You may want to rethink your answer." When her words come into my psyche, I am finally able to witness my surroundings. The restaurant is disgusting. Mold and grime are forming from the floor, inching their way up the walls, and the customers sitting at the booth and tables are absolutely ravenous. They're hardly taking a breath in between the bites of their food, much of which fills the tabletops entirely. The kitchen behind the cashier is also eerily quiet, as though she is the only person working. She turns to a counter behind her, where she picks a tray full of fried sides, burgers, sodas, and milkshakes. She passes me, leaving the kitchen to the dining area, where she tosses the outrageous amount of food onto an already filled table for the 4 people sitting there. They begin opening the boxes and unwrapping wrappers immediately, shoving the food down their throats like pigs, and licking the table where the drinks had spilled. I nearly retch at the sight of them, and my appetite melts away quickly. They finish their food inhumanly fast, and each and every one of them hugs the cashier and kisses her on the cheek, forehead, and neck in gratitude. When they part from her, sitting back down, she makes her way back behind the counter. "They were like you before," she begins. "Nobody to see or come home to. Nobody to love or hate. They were alone. They were lonely. And I felt for them. I felt for them because I was them too. But here at Friendly Burger, we can all be in each other's company. You don't have to be alone anymore. You can be with me, with all of us. Just sit at a table, and your food will be out shortly. My hunger is gone. The rumbling in my stomach is replaced with a knot. Nothing about this is right. I can't be here. I have to leave." "Well," I respond shakily, backing away towards the exit, "I'm not lonely. I like my life, and I'll be leaving." I can feel the door press against my back. I turn to leave and scream when the cashier appears in front of me behind the glass. "I don't think you understand. You don't want to leave, and you don't want to refuse service." I cower at her, backing away again and huddling by my sauce and napkin station in the center of the dining room. "What happens if I do?" She smiles again, delighted that I had asked that question. She shifts her head towards a table next to the exit, where a man sits with dozens of burgers in front of him. I see him take each bite, and the meat is nothing like the meat I've seen in any sort of meal before. It looks to be extra chewy, stringy, and sickeningly gray. "Oh my God! Oh my God!" The cashier turns back to me. "So, you can be like the satisfied customer eating, or the poor soul he is eating. The one who lies to themselves, the one who suppresses their misery." She disappears again and was back behind the counter, holding a tray of the slop. "It's your choice." Sweat and tears pour down every inch of my body. I suddenly feel it. I can finally feel the pain of being alone for so long. I need people. I need sustenance. I am so hungry. Finally, after that long thought, I take the tray from her hands and whisper, "What are you?" She smiles again sweetly. "I'm your best friend." I choose a table mindlessly, one in the corner of the dining room. I unwrap one of the meals and take the first bite. Then I chew. I swallow. It feels so hot, so juicy, so safe, and wonderful. I take another bite, which led to another and another. I dig in after that, unwrapping every meal, opening every box, taking the lids off the milkshakes, and pouring them down my throat. Without conscience, someone walks up behind me and wraps their arms around my body, and it's so unbelievably satisfying. Being here is the best thing that could have happened to me. I now have people all around me, sharing their food, asking me questions, and enjoying my company. I am not alone. In the corner of my eye, the cashier stands at the counter, smiling kindly. She nods as I carry on stuffing my face and sinking in the attention. Because of Friendly Burger, my starvation is satiated. The people around me and inside my stomach give me warmth. I am home. Thank you for this, Friendly Burger. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember, you can find me on Instagram at duchessof.darkness. or Duchess of Dark N2 on Twitter. Also, please send me your stories or poems to duchessofdarkness27@gmail.com. Until next time.